This is the introduction to the Core Trade Management module for Pivot Boss Masters. Core Trade Management lays the essential groundwork for managing risk like a professional trader, from understanding, assessing, and mitigating risk to basic and advanced trade management techniques. So the four sections that we're going to begin with are the introduction to core trade management, which is this section. It's going to lay the early groundwork for the rest of the module. We're going to jump into basic professional trade management, which is going to give you several trade management strategies to use that will help significantly reduce risk throughout the life of your trade and also help you consistently book profits. So we're going to focus on using those first to get you trading in the appropriate way, and then we're going to come back and really delve into risk management from a professional standpoint that helps you understand, assess, mitigate, eliminate risk from all different angles, using trade management, using just habit practices and so forth. So we're really going to dive into risk management from a full standpoint, but first I want to implement the professional trade management approach, at least on a basic level, so that you can get to trading immediately with this approach. At the very end of this, we're also going to talk about advanced pro trade management techniques, and these types of techniques will involve anything from scaling in and out to adding to reversing a position, building a position, similar to an iceberg fashion, and those types of things. But first, let's jump into core trade management and just have a simple introduction to the topic. Risk control is the most important thing in trading. Paul Tudor Jones, perhaps one of the best traders of the last 30 years. And I really, really believe this. Risk control, risk management is everything. When it comes to trading, I think perhaps there are three important components to becoming a successful trader. One of them is risk control, risk management. The other is mindset. And then kind of a distant third is some type of core philosophy, and that's our auction market theory. If you can master those three areas, auction market theory, if you can master trade management and risk management, and if you can master yourself through mindset, I think you've wrapped up 99% of trading. The rest is just getting in and letting the rest work for you because you've already devised a plan. And that's really what risk management is about, and we'll talk about that as we go along. Risk management is the process of measuring or assessing risk and then developing strategies to manage it. Professional traders are proactive about measuring, reducing, and eliminating risk because that is the only way to survive as a professional trader. Professional traders who have longevity in this career have been through a lot to reach that longevity in their career. And quite frankly, they understand that it takes keen risk management and trade management, steadfast discipline to execute your trade management plan, because otherwise the risk will eventually come eat your account. So it has to be this way. It has to have a very strict approach to risk management, because otherwise trading is too difficult to make money with having a poor trade management approach. So you really have to hone in on the style or approach you want to use, and then I'm going to give you basic professional trade management approaches or strategies that will help you begin to book profits in a consistent manner while reducing and eliminating risk throughout the life of a trade. And that is our goal through this core trade management course. Professional traders must understand and manage risk. If you do not understand risk, you are doomed to fail as a trader. If you do not develop and or maintain the discipline required of a professional to manage risk, you are doomed to fail as a trader. And I don't want to sound too overbearing when I'm saying this, but really, it really takes that discipline to executing your trade management approach. Really takes that discipline. You have to take this portion of the master's program extremely seriously. If you can master trade management, understand risk from all levels, and we will teach this and learn it throughout this module, but if you can understand these concepts and you can implement these concepts with steadfast discipline, you are ahead of 90% of other traders. And remember, our goal is to be one of the best traders out there because only the top 5 or 10% make money, right? So if you are implementing a consistent professional trade management or risk management approach, you already have a leg up on 90% of the competition out there. So again, that's what Masters is all about, is understanding the various components that make up a professional trader and then doing those things, including those routines into our trading as we go along to improve ourselves, because over time, as you emulate a professional trader, eventually you become the professional trader that you had been emulating the entire time, and that's our goal. Do the things that the winners do and avoid the things that the losers do. Risk management is the holy grail of trading. Mastering this aspect of trading dramatically improves your odds of becoming and remaining a successful professional trader. If you're looking for a holy grail in the market, it's not signals, it's not fancy indicators, it's not bells and whistles or color-coded charts. It is risk management, because it is risk management that basically keeps your money in your account and helps you continue to book the proper profits required to offset the losses that you accumulate over the life of a trading account. Risk management is perhaps the easiest part of your trading plan to implement. Your discipline in executing your risk management plan will determine your success as a professional trader. And this is the irony of risk management and why so many traders fail. Because risk management is perhaps the easiest part of your trading plan to implement and execute, which is the funny part. Because if it's the easiest, why do so many traders lose money? Because many traders don't have a proper understanding of risk. They don't have a risk management approach. They don't have a trade management approach that they can rely on. They're shooting from the hip at every single trade. And that is not the way to approach the market. You have to have a consistent approach, maybe 2 or 3 risk management styles that you can rely on, that you know well, and that you can execute or deploy at certain times of the market that makes sense. So you have to know your tools, and then you have to know when to use your tools. Develop a plan that works for you. Develop a plan that you like, perhaps from the masters here, where I'll be introducing basic and advanced trade management techniques and strategies. You can take what you like and adopt it for your trading, and then stick with it. Stick with it. After every trade, as soon as you trigger an entry, you put on your trade plan for that particular setup, and you don't touch it. You let the plan work out. That's risk management right there. That's why it's the easiest. You've already predetermined what that plan is going to be. The implementation should be the easiest because once you push that button to get into a trade, your targets and your stops and your risk management approach or strategy for that trade should already be in play. The rest is taking your fingers off the keyboard or mouse and sitting on your hands. That's why it's the easiest, because it just takes discipline. And if you use that discipline for every single trade, over time, a proper risk management profile for that setup or trade or signal that you're trading will over time make money because it's being managed in a proper way. Don't focus on making money. Focus on protecting what you have. The most important rule of trading is to play great defense, not great offense. Again, another great quote from Paul Tudor Jones, perhaps one of the best traders out there, aggressive traders, and also a counter trend trader. Goes against the grain. And when you're that type of trader, you have to have steadfast trade management. And that's why he says here, just play great defense. Worry about keeping and protecting the money you do have, but that doesn't mean don't pull the trigger. That just means when you pull the trigger, make sure you're protecting your money with a sound trade management plan. And if you are, it can put you at ease because you know that that trade, whether it makes money or not, it doesn't matter. You know that there's a great trade management approach attached to that entry. And whatever happens, for better or worse, you're doing your job. And that's what it takes. It takes that focus on protection of your capital. Because once you run out of capital, you're out of the game. So you have to focus always on protecting that capital so that you can always stay in the game. And that's what risk management is all about. Executing your trade management plan with steadfast discipline is key to successful professional trading, as we know. But this also positively affects many other aspects of our trading, and that's why it is key to successful professional trading. Some of the aspects that it positively affects are mindset, trade review, and development. Implementing a consistent trade management plan helps your mindset by preserving your emotional capital, since you are merely executing your predetermined plan of management in an automatic manner, much like a machine. So if you let that sink in for a moment, your goal as a professional trader is when you enter a trade, you are merely executing your trade management plan like a machine. And then you're letting the market do what it may. What that does, try it, because what it does is it removes some of that emotional attachment to your trade. And as you do it more and more, that emotional attachment completely goes away from that trade. And I think that's one of the core mindset challenges that traders have. And we'll cover that in the core mindset module later on in the master's program. But that's a key pitfall for many traders, is having an emotional attachment to their trade. Like if they lose money on that trade, it reflects poorly on them as a trader. Or, it makes them feel horrible or whatever. That is a very damaging way to approach trading. If you are constantly worried about the next trade, making money or losing money, it's going to be hard to make money. Remember, in order to get what you want, you have to be and act as you want to receive. So if you want to be happy as a trader, you have to trade in a happy environment. You have to trade in a happy state. Instead, if you're trading in an anxious manner or a very nervous manner, you're going to get those types of results because your trading is going to reflect that. Any little wiggle in the market and you're going to be trying to get out, and now you just got out for a small loss and price just went to your target, and that's damaging to your emotional capital. So what implementing a consistent trade management plan does is it preserves that emotional capital. It preserves that trader mindset, because you're just executing that trade management approach. You already know that that trade management approach is your favorite. You know what you need in order to eliminate risk right off the bat. You know what price level you need to receive in order to completely eliminate risk or make money. And that's what we're going to learn throughout the rest of this core management module. Implementing a consistent trade management plan helps tremendously with trade review, which allows you to isolate the trade management portion of the position to better analyze your trading results. And what this means is basically that if you have, say, 1 or 2 or 3 core trade management plans that you like to use, well, when you're trading poorly or when you're trading well and you're analyzing your trades in your trade journal or doing some type of end-of-day trade review, you can better analyze different portions of your trade, your entry, your exit, your scales, your trade management approach, because you have these interchangeable pieces. You can say, hey, I've been trading this signal and it's been a good signal, but I've been leaving money on the table because I've been using this trade management approach. What if I interchange it with this trade management approach? And then you can see what the results would then be. And you can use this approach to have a much better and more fulfilling trade review process, which can then help your trading results down the line. And always keep in mind, proper trade management can make an average signal better, while poor trade management can make an average signal worse. One of the best traders in the world can enter at the same price as an average trader. The average trader on average will lose money, and one of the top traders will break even or make money because they know how to manage a position. And when it comes down to it, it's all about that trade and risk management. If you apply proper trade management to a good signal, it'll be better. You'll get better results. If you apply proper trade management to a great signal, you're going to get phenomenal results. But if you have a great signal and you apply poor trade management, you may never know what you have because you're only going to see bad results or statistics. That's why it's very important to understand how to properly manage your trades so that you're reducing risk, you're consistently booking profits, and you're allowing portions of your position to run toward bigger gains. Implementing a consistent trade management plan also helps with the development of signals, systems, and setups, because having several pro-style trade management approaches allows you to measure, analyze, and decide on the validity of your entry and trade management ideas. And this is, again, goes back to the study and review portion of trading, which is very, very important. It's very difficult for even the best traders to sit down fresh at the screen and begin trading without doing any homework or analysis. You know, it's just very, very difficult, if not impossible. I'm sure there are great traders out there that can do it or do it on a short-term basis, but overall, it's not a great approach to having consistent long-term success in the market. A lot of that success comes from homework and research and study, self-evaluation. And what development of signals, systems, and setups does is it allows you to continue to refine your entry approaches. And then when you have a consistent trade management plan, you can then interlock the pieces with various signals to see which ideas work. Maybe in a downtrending market, if you're trading counter trend, you have to change your trade management approach to capture quicker gains. But if you're trading in the direction of the current trend, you could use a trade management plan that allows you to open up your targets so that you can capture more of the gains. So it's various ideas on using the right trade management approach in certain instances in the market, and when you can nail down all those instances with all the proper trade management approaches and know when to use those interchangeable tools when the market presents those opportunities, that's when you can book consistent profits. Auction market theory, risk management, and mindset are perhaps the three most important determinants of trading success. Master these arenas first, as these pave the quickest path to successful trading. I've often said that risk management, mindset, those are the biggies. I've added auction market theory now to this because auction market theory really provides the blueprint to how you should be looking at the market from an auction participant's standpoint so that you can follow the winners and squeeze the losers. I've always taught auction market theory, but now I feel like it is part of the threesome that make up the three most important determinants of successful trading. And if you can master these three modules, master inside and out auction market theory, proper risk and trade management, and then master yourself in terms of mindset, you are ahead of 90 to 95% of traders and on your way to either becoming or remaining consistently profitable. So as a summary here, professional traders are professional risk managers. And that is something that I learned very, very early on in my professional trading career. And it's something that took me a long time to really develop an approach. I'm going to give you all of my ideas and tools and approaches for entering the market using various strategies and techniques. And it's all position sizing, it's all scaling units, it's all reducing risk immediately in certain scenarios, and then booking profits as fast as you can or letting profits run in other times. It's understanding when to use those various approaches because it really is all about feel of the market and understanding where price is in relation to value, in relation to current trend. And once you understand those, you can put them all together, manage risk, and day over day continue to book consistent profits. Professional traders are proactive about measuring, reducing, and eliminating risk. And that's something you have to come to grips with if you're going to continue to remain a professional trader, because you have to be diligent about continuing to understand and develop your risk profile as your account grows or even as you encounter drawdowns. And as we go into the professional risk management portion of the core trade management module, we'll talk more about how you can deal with managing risk when your account is going up and when your account is going down. Proper trade management can make an average signal better, while poor trade management can make an average signal worse. Always know that you must continue to implement your proper trade management plan because it gives you the best shot at making money on a day-to-day basis. Anytime you're implementing a poor trade management plan, it doesn't matter how great the signal is going to be, you're likely going to lose money or not make most of the opportunity that presents itself. A consistent trade management plan helps with your mindset, trade review, and development. Again, there are very few things in trading that, if you do well, it positively impacts many other aspects of that trading. But proper risk management is one of those few things that, if properly executed, can positively impact your entire trading. And that makes it one of those major things you must master if you want to continue to be a successful trader. The key to trade management is execution. That's it. It's the easiest part to do. It's also the hardest part to do because it's all about you. It's your mental state. It's your mindset. It's you as a trader. Professional traders execute their trade management plan with discipline, and so will you. And that wraps up the introduction to the core trade management module for Pivot Boss Masters.